Hello everyone and welcome to our board meeting. My microphone is not working today. Hello. But I got a big voice. So welcome everyone. We're so happy you're here. Before I actually call the meeting to order, I would like to take just a moment of our time to have a moment of silence for Miss Cindy. Miss Cindy was an Atchison icon. She dressed up for every stinking holiday, made up or true or not, read stories to every child in this town. She was at the elementary school for way more than 25 years doing story time to kindergarten. I don't know anybody else, but she was an amazing human being, and she passed away, and they had her funeral on Saturday. So if you would please join me just a moment in a moment of silence for Miss Cindy. What a lovely lady. Thank you so much. Now I would like to call this meeting to order, and my first order of business is a motion for the ordering and approval of tonight's agenda as presented. Thank you so much. So I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you so much. It does pass unanimously.
So we are having some difficulty with mics tonight, so I'm going to ask everyone just to really speak out on it, because I don't think any of ours are turning on. So we're gonna go with it. It's okay. If you didn't hear anything, just let us know, and I'll either repeat it with a teacher voice, or we'll just mumble it and we'll tell you what it is. Okay.
Okay, tonight we have staff and student recognitions, and I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Batson to give these well-deserved recognitions.
This is one of my favorite parts of the whole evening, because in all honesty, we could spend every night celebrating the amazing things the parts of our Phoenix family do. But tonight, one member of our Phoenix family that we're going to celebrate is Misty Wilson. She's described as an exceptional educator, a true professional, and a vital member of the elementary team. Her work as an interventionist is consistently thorough, intentional, and held to the highest standard, resulting in meaningful support for both students and teachers. Misty goes above and beyond to learn new initiatives and ensure staff have the resources, clarity, and guidance needed for strong instruction, including her extensive research and preparation to support teachers with the literacy task requirements. In addition to her outstanding contributions at the elementary school, Misty provides our ELL services for the entire district, which is not a task that's easily undertaken, because that is multiple languages from multiple districts, multiple cultures. In this role, she supports multilingual learners with expertise, compassion, a deep understanding of language development, not to mention a good sense of humor that comes up quite a bit as well, while also collaborating with teachers to strengthen instructional practices across buildings. Her commitment, leadership, and willingness to take on building and district-wide responsibilities make her an invaluable asset to our students, staff, and school community. Please give a Phoenix proud appreciation to Ms. Misty.
This certificate of recognition is presented to Misty Wilson for your outstanding performance and dedication to the success of Atchison students and staff on the 9th day of February 2026 by the USD 409 education.
No. I know you can't do it without the support of your family as well, cheering you on at home.
Yes.
So if anyone, your family's here with you, if they'll come join you, we want to take a picture together. So please come join us. And come stand right here, board members, come gather around. Sally, you get to stand up front. You know how this works. And I was just informed Misty is an alumni, a product of 409 Public education.
Yes, she is. Let me get back
Where do you
to
want me?
Right here in front. And up. Brandy and Kathy, you gotta be there with Sally too. One of you's gotta get up
Or I
front.
can't see you.
That's all
You go
right.
in between.
Yep.
I always try to put the tallest person in the front.
Thank you, Brandy. I appreciate that leadership there.
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, Christine, for all you do. Another actress in Phoenix that we want to celebrate this month is Kara Soap. At the beginning of the school year, we learned that the Backpack Buddies program through Second Harvest, which served about 80 students, would require a fundraising commitment of nearly $16,000. The program would be reduced to only 8 backpacks for the entire school. So understanding that this level of funding was not attainable, Kara Soap proactively sought alternative solutions that would continue to meet the needs of elementary students in Atchison. Mrs. Soap reached out to the Atchison Salvation Army to explore alternative food resources, shared her interest in expanding food support for at-risk students, and expressed confidence that with the community support they can meet this need. This collaboration resulted in the launch of the Salvation Army of Atchison's Backpack Buddies Weekend Food Program. The program is now supported by over 50 known community donors, including organizations and individuals, along with anonymous and Thriving Card donors. First Baptist Church Youth Group has partnered with USD 409 and the Salvation Army to assist with packing and delivering food bags to AES. And the students have also volunteered, helping to pack several months' worth of weekend food. The program's success is a direct result of Ms. Soap's tireless advocacy and commitment to ensuring that no Atchison Elementary School student goes hungry. We sincerely appreciate Ms. Soap's proactive leadership and steadfast dedication to student welfare. And the best part about this is she does this all above and beyond her day job. She sees and helps supports the mental health and the needs of not only our students, our staff, our superintendent sometimes, and everyone else. So please join me in celebrating Kara Soap. She does for our
I know. Oh, she's a sweetie.
Yes, she is.
For your outstanding performance and dedication to the success of Atchison students and staff on the 9th day of February 2026 by the USD 409 Board of Education. Whew. Love you, love you. Love you.
Kara can't take care of all of us without the support of her family as well.
Amen.
So after Kara gets all her hugs, if her family will come join up here so we can all take a picture together. It may be about 5 minutes or so. Yep, and Stephanie's going to join you up front too.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, Kara.
That's right.
Kara's going to be wearing a Free Hugs t-shirt tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay. Next up are our reports, and the first is Atchison Elementary School with Miss Andrea Coppinger, our principal. Our head principal is going to come and join us with Catherine Gunderson and Charles Stillman. just talk loud.
Okay,
Yeah.
so hello, I'm Andrea Coppinger, I'm the principal at the elementary school, and this is our admin team. This is Kathy Anderson, associate principal, and Charles Stillian, Kathy, associate principal. And we definitely believe in shared leadership, so we're all going to stand up here and talk about the wonderful things of Access Elementary School.
So, they're gonna spend a lot of time talking about our first bucket in our strategic plan about educational opportunities and learning.
Okay, thank you all for having us tonight. The first picture you see is the new office that, thankfully to the board, the community of Atchison, we had a bond issue last year, and we were able to go from having 2 entrances in the building, which is really unsafe in today's society, to now we have the one secure entrance into the building. And it has been a huge game changer for us. So we love that. We appreciate the fact that you all helped vote for that and get that pushed through. Second item is the class bank. Our 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade classes use that. It's an incentive for students. Once they can earn money with positive behavior, things that they do in the classroom, and then they're able to bank their money, and then they can spend it on various things. And it's been a really big help in our 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade classrooms. So we appreciate that support with that as well.
So yes, I'm Kathy, and I first just want to say I'm new to USD for 09 this year, and I really do love it. I love my team, I love my school, all the people, the staff, the students. I've learned a lot in the short months that I've been here, but I do truly love being a part of USD 409. So I just have a few things to say about some highlights that I wanted to share with you that we've been doing at Atchison Elementary. That next picture is a picture of a cart that has lots of different like board games or games that kids can play in the classroom. And sometimes we need those, especially a few weeks ago when the weather was like 20 below with wind chill and we could not send our kids outside for recess. So the teachers have different games they can play. Well, so one of our incentives for our students is, and our teachers, is for our students to get practice on what we call the iReady My Path. iReady is our district assessment that we give 3 times a year in both math and reading to our students K-5. And then based on their assessment, this My Path in iReady gives them a path to practice the skills that are needed that kind of showed up in their testing. So it targets their areas that they need some extra practice. Well, the research shows that using the My Path in iReady, students should really get 30 to 45 minutes, 49 minutes a week in both subjects. And so our teachers are trying to find that time. It's maybe 15 minutes a day for them to get on. And then we look at that data at the end of each week, and any teachers' classrooms that got that, met that goal for that week, their name goes into a drawing, and depending on how many names are in, I don't know, sometimes draw 2 or 3 classrooms, and the kids get really excited, and Mrs. Coppinger takes the card around, and they get to choose what game they get to keep in their classroom for indoor recess or other activities. So the next picture, I know Mrs. Coppinger will be talking about the triangle for our tiers, but we specifically just wanted to kind of make note of that middle tier, which is where we are wanting to work on our students. It's called targeted intervention, but we this year put in 30 minutes into our schedule every day, and we're just calling that intervention time, and that can be for students that need that extra practice. It could be students that need some enrichment, or just pulling in groups of students that are working kind of at the same level and really targeting those. So that's something new this year, and we're pretty pleased with how that's going. And sometimes that's when students can get on that My Path to practice during that time as well. One other thing we just recently implemented at Atchison Elementary, I think it was right after Thanksgiving maybe. We call it a morning meeting. So all of our students come into the gym in the mornings, whether first if they're gonna eat breakfast, they eat breakfast, then they come into the gym. If they're not gonna eat breakfast, they just come straight to the gym. And they sit in our gym, and you're all welcome to come and watch this sometime, but they sit in our gym according to who their teacher is, but grade levels, so I've got fifth grade and fourth, third, they're spread all around the gym. And so since they're already in there, we thought this would be a great time to just quickly go over things with our students, build some community with them, but also reinforce and talk about expectations, school-wide expectations, have a common language so all of our students are kind of on the same page, and our teachers. So, and then we have something different each morning. So on Mondays, we do Make a Difference Monday. And that's where we just talk about different acts of kindness they could do, go out of their way to make someone's day better. So we kind of give them a Monday mission. Tuesday, we do Tuesday's Tip from Second Steps, and Second Steps is our social emotional learning curriculum. So we just kind of try to go over some things that they might be doing in the classroom and talk about that a little bit. Working Wednesday, we decided to put in, this is kind of to help students understand different careers. So we give them 3 clues, and then they get to talk about what they think his career is. And then we draw a stick, and if they win, then or they answer right, then they get a little prize. So that's Working Wednesday. Thoughtful Thursday, we try to do some things, again, more with the SEL. This last few weeks, we've been working on the zones of regulation. So again, it's common language. And then Friday, we do either a fun fact, or we do some Fitness Friday, where they all get up and do a quick little movement. So we found that that's going very well. Sorry.
No, you're fine. So those are some highlights. We're going to look at some data. I'm kind of the numbers nerd on our team. So I like to talk about data and dive into data. And so we're going to talk about some behavior data and then some academic data. So like Kathy mentioned, when it comes to behavior academics, we always have the triangle. When we look at the green, part of the triangle, that's the base. We call that tier 1, and that's where our hope with behavior or academics is that at least 80% of our students' needs are met with that tier 1 instruction or whatever that is happening. And then some of our students, 15% is always the goal. Some of our students might need something a little bit more. That's at tier 2. They might need, just a little bit more with behavior or academics, a little, intervention here or there. And then a few of our students, that's the 5%, they're going to need something even more intense to meet their needs. So that's behavior or academics. And so when we look at our behavior data at the elementary school, our green tier, so our tier 1 is students who have received 0 to 1 behavior referrals, 0 to 1. That's our green part. 2 to 5 referrals is our yellow, so that's our sum. And 6 or more referrals is our red. That's our most needs are falling in that area. So when you look at our triangle overall for the whole school year up to January 26th, just so you know, that's when the data is when I pulled it, from August to January 26th. Overall, if you look at our students, 84% of our students are falling in that green tier 1 tier. That means 84% of our students are receiving 0 to 1 referrals, which means, that what's happening at tier 1 based on the data is working for almost all of our students. Then we have some of our students, 10% of our students that are receiving those 2 to 5 referrals. So that's a smaller percentage there. So we're really having to meet their needs with some targeted interventions. And then 6% is that red at the top. So we're a little bit high there. We're close, but we're a little bit higher than we would prefer to be. So overall, our data looks pretty good. If you break it down by month, obviously because then they're not adding up the referrals, right? But if you look at it month to month, our data is excellent as far as where our students are with their referrals. As of January 26th, we had 870 total referrals, which sounds like a lot. That's a lot, right? But I do think you have to dive just a little bit deeper. Like, what does that actually mean? Who's getting those referrals? And so I could have taken more or less, but I just kind of went with the top. Our behavior referral, EduClimber is our program, and they have amazing data, like, to break down things. So of those 870 referrals, 55 students, and we're in a building of 600 plus, 55 students account for 569 of those referrals, which is exactly what our triangle is telling us, that it's a small percentage of students that are accounting for a large percent of referrals. And we'll kind of talk about that on the next slide a little bit, so then what do we do, right? And then we just pulled this out separately. We have to report suspensions differently to the state. We have to pull that out and report that, and so we just have that ongoing in a spreadsheet that we keep. Actually, Charlie's like our guy for that, Charlie. And so if we just look at our in-school suspension data as of January 26th and our out-of-school as of January 26th, we have 6% of our students have received in-school suspension, and 2.7, so less than 3% of our students have received out-of-school suspension. So that percentage is pretty small. We know long-term, suspensions don't really work to change behavior, so we have to be a little bit more creative and make sure we're targeting and actually trying to make a difference with the behavior. So if we look at the next screen, so this is our month-to-month referrals starting in August to January. And so you can see what happened in September and October, right? We got it was high, it was a lot. We had those few students that were having some big behaviors often. And so when that happens, we have some different routes. If the students do not have an IEP, then we go the GEI route. And so we bring the team together and we say, here's what's happening, what can we do, what interventions can we put into place? They have an IEP, we pull that IEP team together. We also have some wonderful professionals in Becky Pluck, which sped coach, I think is her title, and Angelica Mariner, she's our BCBA. So they also can help us try to determine what is the function of the behavior, why are students behaving in this way, and once we hopefully can find that information, then we can implement research-based targeted interventions. And then we have to train people to do those. We have to find people to do those. We have to see what works. But we also know that interventions take 6 to 8 weeks to know if they're successful or not. And so then you can see okay, we were here. We were able to target those tier 2 and tier 3 behaviors, put those interventions in place, and you can see that our referrals then started to decrease after those 6 to 8 weeks. And we had time to really get some things in place. And sometimes that's also just supporting, maybe a teacher or two that needs some assistance with, maybe just tier 1 in their classroom. But we spend a lot of time looking at the data, talking about the data, what can we do better, how can we support our students and our teachers to really help everyone meet the needs of our students. So that's the behavior data piece. Yep.
Is there a particular grade, like of those 55, is there a particular grade that you're seeing more issues than others?
So sometimes, I don't necessarily want to call out, sometimes year to year we have maybe just more students in that grade that have higher needs. And so we do have a couple of grades like that this year that we know that we end up supporting a little bit more. Or it might be in that grade that we have, we have staff that we need to support a little bit differently in those grades too.
Yes, because sometimes there's those transition periods, those transition grades, and I wonder if consistently you're seeing it.
It's not uncommon, I think. She would say at the beginning of the year, they support kindergarten very, they have a lot of support for kindergarten at the beginning of the year.
Other questions about our behavior data before we go to academic? Or do you think of something? Okay, so then moving to our academic data, like Kathy was saying, iReady is our diagnostic tool. I know that Mrs. Yoakum went over this last month with you, which is just our overall building academic data. So I wanted to dive just a little bit deeper into our academic data and pull out a couple of really bright spots that we as a building are very proud of. We have celebrated with our teams over these bright spots. And so the first one, if we go to the next slide. So in reading, when we take the diagnostic in the winter, in December, we would like for all of our students to be at 50% of that annual progress towards their annual typical growth. So no matter what any student starts at, what they score, what their percentile is, when we take that in December, we're about halfway through the year. We would like for them to meet about 50% of their growth, because then ideally they would be on track to meet 100% of their growth by the end of the year. So the goal is 50%, and we had we dove into this with our teams, and we had great discussions, and we had great growth, and we did a lot of breaking it down in different ways. But our fourth grade team in reading specifically, they met 106%, so they more than exceeded 50, but more than exceeded 100, which that's the median. And so you might say, okay, that's the median, but as a grade level, what is like when you break it down? So then I broke it down. Obviously, I didn't put any teachers' names, but just so you can see, in almost every single class, we're meeting over 100%. So this was a huge bright spot for us. Linda is our iReady trainer who comes multiple times a year, and she even pulled this out after we had already talked about it, and we sat down with our fourth grade team and we said, like, what are you doing? Like, what is different? Let's bottle it up, let's sell it, let's reproduce it. And really just a couple of things that stood out, although it didn't seem like anything super huge. A focus on those iReady MyPath minutes, which is research-based, that they will improve. Fourth grade does a really great job of incentivizing that for their students. They do a lot of like individual goal setting and planning with their students. But then it's also their second year with this curriculum. Last year it was their first year with the curriculum. And we just got a little bit more experience in fourth grade this year too. And so those things combined with the work of those teachers, they really have just shined in this area for us this year. And we had great numbers across the board. We had enough time. I asked Laura, like, how much time do I have? And she was like, I threw out a number. She goes, oh dear God, no. I was like, okay. I think we would be here all night. You're right. But the other bright spot of our academic data we want to look at is our kindergarten data. So it's kind of small, and so I think you guys have it in front of you. So our fall data in kindergarten, so that when they took the diagnostic at the beginning of the school year, that's that top bar. And you can see like a tiny bit of dark green, a little bit of just green, and then yellow. And yellow is one grade level below, and then the greens are mid or above, or on or above. And if you look at our winter data, so the first two bars are just comparing the same group of kids fall, same group of kids winter. You can see that huge growth that we had in a very short amount of time. But to really know it, but maybe we have that every year, right? So we looked at our last year's winter diagnostic to compare the two winters, and you can see even last year it was super great, but still not the growth that we had this year. And so once again, we sat with all of our teams and we went through all of this data and we said, what's different? What are we doing? What's going on? And so there was really three pieces that we came up with that as the grade level and admin team. Number one of those MyPath minutes. And we had kindergarten teachers say, like in the past, like it almost felt more just like a suggestion, like you should really try to get these minutes. But this year it's we're getting these minutes, and everyone is on board with that. Everyone sees that. The second thing that's different this year, which we have two of our interventionists here, instead of pulling out our kindergarten students for Tier 3 intervention this year, our focus was to really maximize our Tier 1 instruction to meet the needs of all of our students. So instead of trying to intervene at such an early level, let's front load with that really good instruction that all students are getting. So we have three interventionists, Ms. T. Wilson, Leslie Stein are here, Lauren Benning, and then we have our SPED teacher in kindergarten, Paula Hoffman, and then we have a SPED para. So we have 5 adults who co-teach with each of our 5 kindergarten teachers this year. So every single reading class has a co-teacher, has those 2 highly skilled, qualified people in there meeting the needs of those students, and we are definitely seeing the benefits of that in a lot more ways than just the academic data, but this is the piece we can measure. And the third thing not always possible, and we know that truly effective teachers class size, is what it is. But they have had smaller class sizes this year than they've had in years, and they just feel like that's definitely one of the reasons they've also had this positive growth. So I could have talked a lot more about data.
And a quick question on
Sure.
the teachers in kindergarten, was there any turnover between the year or the same teachers in the classroom?
No, we had all the same. Yeah, we had all the same. I think what's that first I did. Yeah, we had all the same.
You mentioned the new curriculum that they working. What is it?
Sure. So in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grades for reading, we use iReady. It's called magnetic reading, and we started it last year, and so this is our 2nd year in that program. In kindergarten, 1st, and 2nd grade, we still use SFA, Success for All. That's the same program we've used since the building has been open. And then for math, we're K5, K8, actually, iReady math, and that we just adopted this year.
Well, I hope you will celebrate the elementary success with us. They've worked really hard. They've got some amazing kids and amazing staff, as you can see there. And like Andrea said, you're welcome to stop by and just call her and say
Janet
yes.
was here last
Yes.
week. She wanted to see some of our new spaces a little more up close, and
Well, and I want to comment on, there have been we appreciate when we get invitations because we don't always know about the things that go on, and I know this past week we were invited to the second grade
Habitats.
Yeah, but it's like Todd, and it was so cool to see what those kids had done and what they had learned and things like that. And then I went with my grandson on his 4th grade field trip. They went to Kansas City, and it was more economic related. It was like they had all these little businesses and they signed up for that, and they had a mayor, and they had to learn all this stuff, and it was so amazing to see the experience that they got. So please encourage your teachers to, invite them forward, especially for things like that you don't see on the calendar. You see the main,
more grade level based.
yeah.
And what was really adorable about it, the kids were with their parents, and one of the teachers said, does anybody want to share? And they were like, this is our cave, and this is, it was so sweet, and it was so well done. And you could tell everyone enjoyed. That's true learning, true education.
Absolutely, they're very proud of it.
Yeah.
Very proud of it.
Yeah, so great job.
Yes.
Yeah, and thank you guys for all you do, because elementary's none is easy, but it really is. That's the basis of relationships. It's our concrete in the foundation. It's trust, everything. So,
Well, and I know as a secondary teacher, when I used to sub in the grade school, it's like, oh my gosh, this is like herding cats.
We hear that.
I grew a new appreciation for elementary teachers.
they are. They are.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Well, speaking of greatness, I cannot wait to hear our update from our CTE ambassadors. I'm going to invite Ann Hutchison, who's probably going to say no thank you and just have her students.
Yes.
But I am going to brag on her while her students come up, because we all know that the leadership we see portrayed here is sponsored and the foundation from the greatest doctor in great education. So, ambassadors, the floor is yours.
Good evening, my name is Bill Chula. I'm the CTE Ambassador Vice President this year. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. Career and Technical Education, or CTE, is designed to help students connect academic learning to real-world careers. CTE programs combine classroom instruction with hands-on project-based learning that builds both technical skills and professional skills such as communication, teamwork, leadership, and problem solving. CTE also gives students the opportunity to explore pathways while still in high school. These programs help students discover their strengths, gain confidence, and make informed decisions about their future. Currently, I'm enrolled in the marketing CT pathway, and I am on track to be a completer at the end of the school year. Additionally, I am enrolled in 2 online college courses at Johnson County Community College. These are both CTE level courses that count as college credit and are completely free of charge to students in Kansas through the Excel and CTE program.
Hello, I'm Corey Fitzfield, and I'm also a CTE ambassador in the marketing pathway. The marketing program focuses on understanding consumers, promoting products and services, and building strong brands. Students develop skills in advertising, sales, digital marketing, communication, and leadership through real-world projects and teams. One of the key responsibilities of the marketing pathway is producing our school yearbook. This project allows students to apply design, photography, writing, organization, and deadline management skills in a professional setting. Currently, the marketing pathway has 12 students enrolled, with 4 students expected to complete the program this year, all 4 being juniors. My name is Sayana Sanders. I'm a CTE ambassador in the finance program. The finance program teaches students essential skills related to money management, financial decision making, and business operations. Students learn the accounting skills needed to successfully manage the account for a small business. These skills are valuable not only for careers in finance and business, but also for personal financial responsibility after graduation. Finance students learn how to make informed decisions that impact both businesses and individuals. Currently, the finance pathway has 9 students enrolled, with me expecting to finish by the time I graduate. And this pathway helps students build a strong foundation for future success in colleges, careers, and everyday life.
Hello, I'm Dennis Sunborn. I'm the CTE ambassador in the digital media pathway. Digital media pathway focuses on digital communication, storytelling, and technology. Students develop skills in graphic design, video production, photography, and digital content creation using industry-level tools. One of our main projects is producing schools news. Next. Through this project, students plan, film, edit, and publish content that keeps our school community informed while practicing professionalism, collaboration, and creative problem solving. Currently, the digital media pathway has 90 students enrolled, with 4 students expected to graduate or complete the program, including myself. These experiences prepare students for careers in media, marketing, design, and technology.
In closing, career and technical education plays an important role in preparing students for life beyond high school by offering meaningful hands-on learning experiences. February is CTE month, a time to recognize and impact these programs that help students and communities. In addition, our career and technical student organization, FBLA, will be celebrating FBLA Week this week, highlighting leadership, service, and career readiness. Today we awarded our members 36 conference certificates, with 29 members placing the grades with us. Thank you for your continued support of career and technical education and the opportunities it provides for students.
Completers this year are coming up.
We're building up the programs for
It
you.
really does. It sounds great because we haven't had many in the past.
Yeah.
You all feel good about that? Okay, good.
How are your classes going? Because when I talked to you last, you were,
Yep, I'm logged in, everything's good.
I had no doubt. This weekend,
Yeah.
amazing. Good job.
Keep up, guys. Good job.
It's even more interesting is you've seen these kids as freshmen, and I would have said, you're gonna get up and talk. They would have all said, oh, no, I'm not. And now you all have great confidence and you just present very well. Very proud of you.
Thank you.
Good job, guys. Enjoy your evening.
yes.
Next is our budget review of enrollment and weighted projection report. And Lord Batson is all yours.
All right. So I almost hate doing this after that because that just, it just makes you feel so proud of the opportunities, makes you feel so proud of the things that our district has had available. So as you know, each month this year, we have worked to provide just a little nugget of information to build. School budgeting is its own beast. As we go through, it doesn't usually follow the same rules or the same timelines as most other businesses or our personal finances. So today I kind of wanted to give you more of that 50,000 foot view, starting with kind of the state budget and some of the trends we're seeing in the state budget with public school funding, and then narrowing it back to where we are here in 409. 409, like most districts we know, is in a declining enrollment, okay? That's nationwide. And in there, funding formulas in the state are set to sunset this next school year, all right? So a lot of things are left up in the air. Hear me say out loud, no decisions have been made. Hear me say out loud, this is for information only. When I was talking to administrators today in DCP, I said, mark my words, someone's going to come in tomorrow and say, Ms. Batson said we're not having third grade next year. We are having third grade. That's not what this is about. What this is about is we need to really start thinking, because we need to start having conversations. And until we start having conversations and really talking about this concept of where we're going to put priorities, we're kind of in the dark. Okay, so in this, this falls under the strategic plan focus area 4, communication. One of the things I try really hard to be is upfront and transparent, all right? We're a Phoenix family. We work together to make the best decision for our family. This is from a state view. This is not USD 409 individually. K-12 education is part of an overlying part of the state budget. You will see back in 2020, public education was a little over 50% of the overall state budget. Now, it's projected to be a little higher in 2026. That's projected. I'm not banking on it. But in 2025, it was about 44% of the overall state budget. Doesn't mean that public education wasn't just as important as it was in 2020. It just means we have competing priorities, and everything is more expensive. When you also look as far as the state's goods and services on that, you see that you continually see it declining in there. So percentage-wise, even though the base state aid has continued to rise slightly, which I'm very thankful for as a public educator, we are in a decreasing amount of percentage. So the overall state budget, public education is getting less of that pot of money, so to speak, in there. When you think about enrollment, once again, this is a state slide, it's not 409. When you think about enrollment, you see 3 lines on there. The dark line at the bottom is the actual head count. That's the number of pupils that are in our public schools in this state. The green line is the number of FTEs. And you may think, why is that different? Because not all students come full-time. Some only come part-time. So those are 2 different numbers. The FTE, or the green line, are what's called full-time equivalencies. You see the later it gets in years, the closer aligned it is, okay? Because more and more kids are becoming more full-time. And then you see way up high that gold line. That's what's called your weighted, okay, FTE. Your weighted FTE is figured on those categories you see to the left. Because the state fully recognizes there are things that make it more expensive to educate a student. Now please hear me say, I think every student deserves whatever they need to get the education that they need. And if that means AP courses, then we need them. If that means different technology, we need them. If that means CTE, we need them. If that means transportation, we need them. If that that means an alternative setting, we need them. If that needs whatever, we need them. But the reality is, some students require additional funds to educate than other students. Doesn't make it good or bad, just makes it is, okay? You will see the numbers in parentheses, and those are actual Atchison numbers. The majority of our weightings fall in that at-risk and high-density at-risk. I put an asterisk because they don't discriminate in that, but Atchison falls in that high-risk, high-density at-risk weighting. So 435.9, we get additional, so to speak, FTE, because we have such high density of at-risk. We get a very small amount for bilingual. We get a little bit for CTE. Anne's helping us grow that as fast as she can. Chef's helping us grow that as fast as she can. We get some for transportation. And that is all the weightings we get, okay, that go in that. So, if you remember back in October, we talked about, and this is the exact slide I presented from our October meeting, when we did that September 20 count. We talked about that the year before we had lost about 100 kids, and then this year we had lost about 99 kids. We had thought our enrollment was going to be 1314. I will go ahead and tell you, when they audited our enrollment, it came out to 1305. Potato, potato, when you're talking about the state audit, okay? That's not really a huge deal. We knew the base aid per pupil, so we predicted about a $550,000 to $600,000 decline in our projected budget. Now, good, bad, however you want to look at it, our weightings are so high because of our at-risk, high density at-risk. What happened was, even though our enrollment was 1305, our weightings brought us up to 1979. So we expected, because of the 99 less, we expected the cut of about 550,000. But because of the 674 more of the weightings, it's going to turn out to be about a wash, okay? Hear me say, at first sound, you're like, whoo, good, dodge that bullet. No. Okay, we have to be really honest. And I want to be really upfront, that's who I am. When ESSER money stopped, some of the things that were included with ESSER money we never got rid of. And in there, that means we have been paying for those out of general budget, which means the last year we had to take out of our cash reserves. That's just like living off your savings in our house, right? We know utilities went up, your utilities went up. We know our insurance went up, your household insurance went up. We know expenses went up, your expenses went up. Same as mine, right? In there, we pulled from cash. We already told you, more than likely, we're probably going to go ahead and say yes. We're probably going to pull from cash again this year. Our goal is we're going to have a budget we live by in the 26-27 school year. Here's the fun part. You ready? This is the best thing I love about school budgets. We enter contracts in April, May, and June. Guess when budgets get done? September. Yeah, the 85% of all school budgets is staff. I will tell you every day of the week, invest in people. You invest in the right people, we can let other things go. You invest in people, okay? So, we're going to enter contracts April, May, and June. I'm not having a budget till September, right? In there. So, as we go through, we have to begin having some conversations. Do not hear this to spark fear. We're gonna be okay. We're gonna get through this. But we have to be honest with each other. We've talked about it from my first day on the job here in July. We've talked openly about it. And in this, it's time to kind of get a little more specific. We've been talking big, broad picture. No decisions have been made. If you're a USD 409 employee, I want you to write down in your mind, picture raising your hand and say, I, state your name, will not cause panic in my building, and will not say that Laura said she's cutting all of third grade or all electives or whatever before I go on, because that is not what has been decided. Nothing has been decided, okay? But tonight, we are going to talk about this concept of more and less, because what I want are more kids that we just saw. What I want are more dual credit and more AP. What I want are more kids walking across that stage knowing exactly what they want. What I want is more academic like Andrea showed me. That's what I want. And we have to be honest on how we get there, okay? So, have you ever heard the saying, do more with less? I don't think that saying's right. I mean, I think you can do more less effectively with less, and I think you can do less with less. But what happens is we take really highly effective people and we pile more on them and we make them less effective over time. They can do it short term, but before long, they become less effective. And there are examples after examples after example. And what will happen is they will leave the situation they're in, and we will have burned out one of our best employees. And so it's very important to me that we do not even go down this road of even pretending to do more with less, because we will hurt our people. And that's the number one thing I want to protect. So as we're talking about more with less, we have to be very targeted on what we're saying we're going to do less with. Now the next slide is going to provide some emotional triggers. So hear me say that, because it has all kind of less opportunities. And I tried to hit everyone equally, all right? And I'm sure I left someone out, and that means you're my favorite, okay? So in there, as we go through this, know that no decisions have been made. What I want to start are conversations. And so, what could that look like? Well, it could look like less opportunities for our kids. It could look like less electives in our secondary classes. It could look like less athletic opportunities or less clubs. It could look like less course offerings. Could look like less support positions to help our kids. It could look like less teachers. It could look like less administrators. Could look like less regular maintenance, because crisis maintenance we're going to have to do. So it'll be deferred maintenance that gets pushed. It could look like less transported students. What it could look like is less. And we have to kind of think is where are the areas that we can survive with less? Because you can't do more with less and be okay with it. And I want each of us, I want you to talk to your community members. I want you to talk to your stakeholders. I want you to talk to your families. Because yes, we are going to be cutting programming. Administrators are meeting with Felicia to talk about programs. Yes, we're going to be talking about supplies, all those things. But 85% of all budgets are people. And we will start with natural attrition first. But where is the best place if we have to do with less to start? Because that line that you saw, the gold versus the FTE, all those weightings, they come with reports, and they come with oversight, and they come with accountability. And to think that a building admin can do that and support teachers with behaviors and manage discipline and manage truancy and manage budgets and manage assessment and manage PD and manage all that is unreasonable. Because that very thing I told you about, we could take really good teachers and put more and more on their plate and run them off. You can do that to admin too. And so in that, there has to be, as long as you have that discrepancy, you have to have staff that manage all the things that come with those weightings, because all those blessings come with a lot of accountability and oversight. all right? So what do I need from you at this point? I need you to appreciate this is a difficult decision, and it doesn't feel good. Doesn't feel good for me, doesn't feel good for teachers, doesn't feel good for board members. Except there's no perfect answer, and it may have negative effects. Reflect on what you personally see as the priority to protect, to decrease, and include for next year. And I want you to share your opinions openly. Share them with board members, share them with ANEA leadership, share them with me, share them with your building administrator, share them in an anonymous email to someone. We are going to have to reduce our spending for that. Now, with this, let me not cause panic. Everyone's getting paid in February. We've got the end of the year. We're good. We're good this year, all right? We're going to be paid next year in this. What we're doing is making sure we live within our means, okay, in there. And that is what we need to do. We need to right size. Right size our programs, right size our staff, right size our options. So I want to hear from staff. I want to hear from community members. I want our board members to hear from staff. I want ANEA to hear from staff. What is it that's the most important thing to protect to each of us individually? And we're all going to come around the table, just like family, and work on this problem together. So, for the board anyway, at this point, questions, thoughts, comments? I know.
They'll be there, but not.
All right. So as we go through this, in March, Mr. Montgomery and Ms. Lintner are going to give you that where we are at the moment. They've made really great headway this last month. And so they will give you very much an up-to-date budget and a projection until the end of the school year. So I think we'll have some really good numbers to work with.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Hard things, but we can do hard things, right? There were no public comments, so we'll move on to the approval of the consent agenda as presented. May I have a motion, please?
Well, real quick, because I forgot to say this, we went fast to that. Sorry, there you go. I didn't bring that yet.
Can I?
Yep, I poured it in you. All right, our February 2-cent Tuesday for staff, because we have parent-teacher conferences tomorrow. A survey went out. Of course, anyone that wants to set up anything individual with me, you know I'll meet you anytime to visit. But there's a survey that went out for staff to give me some feedback on there. And then our community will have their next 2-cent Tuesday on February 17th. We'll be sending that out after tomorrow afternoon, because I found if I do it too early, people come on the wrong days. So, and then yes, now, and then for your information, because I want to be transparent, you know, last time we didn't have names, we appointed the board members, but then I was like, just I want to be transparent. Dimmer Montgomery is going to be our lead negotiator for the BOE. Lindsay Hansen is going to be our administrator representative, and then of course the board members were already voted upon. So,
Yep.
good job. Now that I've interrupted, yeah, you probably broke all regulations.
No public comment. So we had a motion and a second, right, on that? Okay. So now I need a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I so move.
Thank you so much, Stephanie, and a second, Sally. Thank you so much. Any discussion on any of those?
I do have a couple of questions. On the 6.7, the speech therapy one, was that put out to bid, or how was that found?
That is one of our approved consortium, so it does not have to go out to bid on that. What's the word I'm looking for, Dimron? I'm drawing a blank. Or Lori, the one.
For our speech
Contract.
contract.
In just a minute, I'll tell you, Doug, it'll come to me right in the middle of someone's presentation. We have a cooperative with Greenbush, and they are on the state's contract that, on there, so they have negotiated an agreeable price on that.
And then I guess that leads into the other question I had with the Greenbush contract. So it looks like it's just showing the half student for the two different rate or the two different.
Yeah.
So does that multiply by however many we have to head count for that?
Yes, I reserve the smallest amount possible, because, for example, you're on the hook for however many you use, and so, or however many you reserve. You can always add more, you can't reduce. So I only reserve for one, so that way, and they're interchangeable. So like if I have one go because we have a bad homebound, situation or whatever where I need that virtual school, for a homebound type situation, I have it, and if that student comes back to the traditional brick and mortar and spring semester I have another one, I can transfer that. So that's why I do 0.5 instead of doing 1 and 1 on it.
Thank you so much. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you so much. It passes unanimously. And next is our action items, and this is the proposed 26-27 academic calendar changes, which this was really beautiful because it was a collaborative effort, and I can't wait to hear all about it. So thank you very much, Mr. Patterson and Ms. Holdridge.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was just going to say, that this was truly collaborative with district staff, board members, district administrators, building administrators, teachers, everybody coming together in calendar committee. So it truly is a collaborative process. And I'll be honest, calendar committee is not my favorite committee I've ever been on, but that may have just changed. This was so smooth and wonderful that I can't say it enough. Because calendar committee works 2 years ahead, right? And that it's hard to plan years ahead. And so we were looking at going for the 27-28 calendar, and we began talking about some changes for that calendar, and we thought, well, if these changes are positive for 27-28, couldn't they also be positive for 26-27? In the past, any conversation like that had usually been shut down as not doable. But that wasn't this collaborative committee's decision, that it was in fact doable, and so we have worked a plan to make some changes, not simply for the calendar that we haven't made yet, but for next year's calendar with some changes. So that's what we're going to go over with you, just briefly. So I'll highlight the semester 1 changes, and Jessica will do semester 2. So the first change for next year would be to move the New Staff Academy from July to August. And that will allow access for more people to attend all kinds of things. And Laura, you can talk more about that if you need to.
That KSD has moved their main conference that was in October, they've moved it to July. Felicia and I for sure really need to go to that, because that's when they do all their assessment, their accreditation, all that type of training. And so that allows us not to feel divided on where we need to be.
And then another change would build in a day before school begins for staff to work on their mandatory training, which is something that teachers, especially, but probably other staff too, have been wanting, and that will help a lot to make sure everybody gets it done. They have the time to get it done, they can concentrate on it. So that's a positive change. It moves the first day of school to a Thursday. Anybody that's ever been a teacher has to love that.
That's nice.
You get a 2-day week to start the semester. That's wonderful. Why do we do this all the time? So that's a positive change.
Oh, they won't be so tired.
Students will love it. Students will love it too.
It's really good.
And then some changes to our conference days. We had already switched to try Wednesday, Thursday conferences because there's so many conflicts. Tuesday, Thursday, coaches are out because Tuesdays and Thursdays always have games. Moving Wednesday to Thursday, that decision had already been made in the last cycle. We haven't done it yet. This will be the first year to do it. But now moving some changes there to add flexibility for starting conferences a little earlier, because the Wednesday will be an early release day, and the Thursday will be a PE day. So it's gonna give some flexibility of times for teachers to meet with parents early. And then there'll be changes to Thanksgiving week. And this is quite a wonderful thing, a lot of people believe anyway, to give that, students will have that whole week off of Thanksgiving. Teachers will have an option for that Monday of Thanksgiving to have a PD day. Or if they're proactive about it, can do a personalized PD sometime earlier than that, so that they don't need to come in on that Monday either. And I love the idea of a personalized PD program. And there's a whole protocol behind it, but it sounds great to me. And that would allow for students and teachers to be off the whole week of Thanksgiving. Without having to add a lot of time later and move the calendar. So we'll talk about that with the second.
Do you have any questions for first semester? You know.
We changed ours at Head Start to where we have the whole week of Thanksgiving off, and it's wonderful. That's when we do our parent-teacher conferences, so it just.
We looked at attendance data and between staff and students, and found, I think you said a third of each were gone.
Yeah.
Those 2 days, so
You probably don't do a lot of
it's hard to teach new
Yes.
content.
Yeah.
So you're missing a third of your class.
Yes.
So for second semester, we're changing the January workday, which teachers love. It's hard at the end of first semester to really go ahead and plan and think about, like, you're trying to get everything finished. So having that workday when you come back is really excellent. So we're going to change that to a whole day. It'll still be virtual or on site. The February conferences will be the same format as the September-October conferences that Bill talked about. We are going back to a PD day on March 29th, the day after Easter. And again, that was looking at attendance data. Lots of students in the past, when that had been a regular school day for students, it was heavily missed. And we will do our part to encourage participation in professional development as much as possible. And the last day for students will now be May 21st. So we will come back on May 24th, and it will technically be a professional development day, but that's when we'll have our retirement breakfast. That used to be a work day, and sometimes people would miss the retirement celebrations and things because they were really trying to work and get their classrooms cleaned out and picked up. So we like having those 2 days being separate, so we can really celebrate people who have deserved, we have earned that. And then the 25th would be the work day, and that would follow the same format as all other work days, could be virtual or on site, depending on whether you are. Questions about second semester?
Is this, and maybe I missed it last time, but is this the first time that staff have done the calendar, or is it always?
They've always had their own committee.
Okay.
They had a committee, but there was no input as far as taken from the teachers. Teachers didn't feel, and I think you'll back me up, like they were listened to at all.
All I know is, I felt like it went really well this year. So we'll say from this point on, that it went really well. I think it's a win-win, and we'll just leave it at that.
And I know in the past we proposed, we put together a calendar just sent out two options, so there was some teacher input in it, so.
It felt different this year, I would say. And I have to say, Jeanette does a lot of the heavy lifting in calendar committee, so thank you for making that happen.
Good job.
So, this is a change, so you will.
It's an action.
An action item.
So there should be, is there a motion proposed?
I did put one.
We
could just say, I need a motion for the proposed 2026-27 academic calendar changes. And that'll be the motion if somebody wants to make that, and say something, that's okay.
I move we adopt the changes to the calendar, recommended by the calendar.
Thank you so much. Any discussion on those? That was beautiful. Everybody talked about how great it was, so that makes me so happy for all. Seeing no discussion, everyone in, I'm sorry. We got you second. Thank you for catching that though, but I thought she did, but, all in favor, raise your right hand, please. And it does pass unanimously. Thank you. Next is our proposed bond, phase 2. And Mr. Dave and Laura are gonna visit to us.
Really, it's Dave.
Dave, all right, Dave.
Not my lovelies.
Yeah,
Oh, I just did the slides. Okay.
Yeah, so we have recommendations to work on with some of the remaining bond work. First one would be roofing areas. We have a couple sections that we need to do at the elementary school along with the eaves system. Eaves is the external insulation finish system. It's what the roof, you can see it at the top of that cream colored wall, that metal up there. That's part of the eave system, and then what goes down on the backside and how it ties into the roof. It's a waterproofing thing that they need to do. And the west side of our elementary school is pretty poor shape, so that's a priority. I don't know, do we have a picture of the schedule or no?
No.
Okay. The other two sections at the high school that we were scheduled to do, are something that we're gonna put a change order in for so that we can focus on a different section that has a little bit more pressing areas. And that's the annex area inside. Not that the other areas are any better condition. So that's the roofing set, recommendations that we'd like to try to do this year.
So I'd like, because I don't want to get the motions kind of confused, kind of stop and do the motions at the end of each project, if we can, because they're big numbers as we kind of go through on this. So the proposal from this is using carryover from the bond. It's talking about doing some roofing repair at the elementary at the high school. This is the one that I wrote about in the board update. Originally, in the scope of the bond work, there was a bigger priority at a different part of the high school. However, we know because we have a whole biome going on at that science annex wing, right, of the high school. So we're changing that, which means we technically are gonna put in a change order. So if you approve this tonight, after it's approved, he will reach out to the company, after, and then create a change order. I'll communicate to you that the change order is going so we can have the annex. Will be done on that. So just letting, just saying out loud in open meeting, what it is. Any questions about the roofing projects?
So, putting in a change order, does that mean they're gonna have to rebid it?
It's basically the same, almost exactly the same square footage of area. There is a little bit difference in material pricing and stuff like that, but the cost is not going to be that big of a difference.
Okay, so with the project that's being passed now, and this is specifically to the high school bid, is that correct?
High school and elementary.
But the change is being made for the high school, the elementary
Yes,
one.
the elementary state is what we plan on.
Okay, so is on the high school part that's not being done so that we can do the work on the annex, what is the condition of that area that's being passed over?
Not quite as bad, but it needs attention.
Are there active leaks happening in that area also?
Correct.
So we're passing over one area with active leaks for another area with worse active leaks? Okay, so is there an ability to, how much overage is there from the bond? Would we be able to, if there's active leaks going on, is there something being done to prevent the leaks from happening while this is going on?
All the time.
We pass,
24/7.
well, more than buckets though and that sort of thing, is there?
I have
Go ahead.
We have bills after bills, for example, at the annex, we have bills after bills after bills. We've had what, six
Oh,
different,
two or
seven
three
different
roofing companies
out there
help
trying to
us with
fix it.
those.
And the problem is, we do not have the funds in capital outlay to repair it all at once. That's where we are.
That's why there was a 10-year plan.
So how much money is presently left over for the bond?
Lori, because this is, pull this up, so I can see. This, along with the foundation work, on this, because this, the roofing alone right here is what? 200, right, it's almost 217,000. That along with
The 142,000.
the 142,000 for the foundation is going to pretty much wipe out our bond, right? Am I saying that?
What do you mean you don't know?
I was never in on the bond.
You're a bookkeeper.
Okay, I will get back to you on that, very quickly. But in there, from what I understood, but I'm gonna verify, so I'm gonna verify and I will send it out to the entire board. The roofing, 2 sections, plus the foundation work was going to wipe out the carryover. Now, from there, if we wanna table this and we can come back to it, but I have to get this scheduled wherever we choose to spend this money to get this work started this summer. I have to get, Dave has to get contracts signed and get them scheduled. And the reality is, we don't have enough money to do it all.
Well, I'm wondering is, because if you're saying we're having to call out all these people to essentially put Band-Aids on, is it cheaper to do the surgery than to keep buying Band-Aids for this other part? Because if we have 2 things that are pressing needs, and we're saying, well, we're gonna take this slightly more pressing need and pass this other pressing need, if we're gonna have to pay a bunch of money to repair the pressing needs anyway, is do we, you know, and I hate to say something like, well, don't do the foundation work, but the foundation work may be the less pressing need at this point, and we have to let that go. And I don't know, I don't know the scope of the work for that either, but.
It's Peter and Paul, you know, and that's the hard part. The science room foundation, like the doors, in one room, and correct me if I'm wrong, because they at one point could not or can't open, so we've got an egress issue if we ever have an emergency. The other part of the high school though is not a classroom area, right? It's up in the locker rooms.
It's near the lawn.
So, I mean, the reality is, and this is what we talked about, right? The reality is, I can't afford all 3 surgeries. And so as a family, we have to prioritize which surgery we want, and none of them are elective.
Well, and I know this was before we got here, my issue goes back to, well, I think the athletic fields and all that looks great. It's a problem when we've got roofs that are leaking and we have a shiny athletic field. It's, you know, that's very distressing that happened.
Can you give us a timeline? So, we know that we have to fix these. I mean, it's
Yes.
just have to. And the foundation, I mean, the science wing is sinking.
Yep.
And this is not like it's anything new that we haven't been saying
Nope,
for
they've got a
years.
timeline on it. In fact,
But what
I
I'm
picture of
asking
it
is
for
if
you.
we spend the money to fix that, then how long before we go do the other part of the roof? How long will it take us to get to the locker room part?
So our
Barring emergencies.
yes, our hopes are that we'll be able to tackle another section next year.
Next year.
After that.
So we probably have the money for that next
Asterisk.
year.
Well, there's maintenance done every year where we got kind of bottled up was during COVID and nothing was done. And so then it put all that pressure once.
Right.
The only thing is, that's dependent on a lot of things, guys, and I just want to be clear on that. I just don't want anyone to say, well, she said, so here we say asterisk.
That's why it's important.
How much
to know where
money?
we're at right now.
And I'm not, this is not a, this is not a. This is not a cry for raising mill, this is just the reality.
But we just
Yeah,
We know we can do
got
it the following
Yes,
year.
yes.
It matters how much is in capital outlay,
We
it
can
matters
hold
how
off
much
until
we
then.
raise, it matters what the price
That's
of
how we
materials and all
gauge
that.
Okay, so probably next year for the
What's
long.
more of a priority now, with a little less, I can wait another year.
Now you're gonna hate me on this one.
What's that?
How are we doing with the central roof? Because, you know, they have leakage too.
Same thing, we're working
So
on.
that'll be next year?
I'd have to look at our schedule, I
Okay.
can't remember what areas we're targeted for that
Okay.
next year, but there are, those roofing areas are on the schedule, I
Okay,
just
good.
can't remember when.
Now, one other question will go to the repair for the annex. So is this only covering external work? What about like on the inside for all of the water damaged areas that are?
The roofing is just the roof, it's just external.
But like ceiling tiles and all that, painting, that kind of stuff we handle internally. Is that what you meant? I don't know what you meant. Okay. So, as far as the roofing, if we want to go ahead with the two areas, the elementary and the annex, I would need someone to make a motion, second it, and approve it, so he can get started on that piece of it, and that's that first.
The first
motion.
piece of the motion, if everybody wants to, anybody feels comfortable making.
Certainly this has to be done.
Yeah.
The annex is more pressing.
Is the very
Part of
first.
it. So are we doing each building separately?
No, it's
No,
all
it's
in
a
one.
roofing
It's in one, contract. So it's that first
Want to
motion.
read that?
Yeah, I can
Okay.
put together the system. It's the Madam President. Okay, just double check.
Yeah.
Madam President, I move the board approve the roofing project for Atchison High School and Atchison Elementary School as presented in the amount of $216,837.25.
And is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Sally. Now time for discussion, if any. I mean, we've had great
We covered it.
discussion and feel like we covered it, but time for that. Anybody? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you so much. That does pass unanimously. Next is the water pump.
Okay, so this is a picture, it's a small picture of, there's 8 pumps total in this pump room. We have 12 total in the middle school altogether. This is the hot water supply pumps that send hot water throughout the entire building structure. And out of the 8 pumps, we have about 1.5 that are functioning properly. All of the VFDs except for 2 are pretty much shot. So we did get a proposal for a replacement on all that, and it was quite expensive. So we revised that, and we asked them to provide us a proposal for pump rebuilds and motor rebuilds instead of replacement. And then the VFDs are those units that you see on the wall, the green boxes. That's what tells what the pump, how fast the pump needs to spin and all that. Those are gonna have to be replaced.
So the goal is, with the current, because this will be combining bond money and capital outlay, to do 8 now, and then the 4 in the future,
Next year, hopefully.
next year, asterisk, okay, on that, to keep, the ability to have hot water at the middle school.
Well, for the heat.
For the heat. And in there, and I appreciate Dave's creativity of when that price came in so high, he was like, okay, let's think of another way we can do this, to have it rebuilt, but still, have high quality, not a Band-Aid, so to speak, in there.
So you're gonna rebuild all 8?
Correct, that's the hope.
And get the new, yeah.
And the VFDs can't really be rebuilt. They're
Sure.
pretty much obsolete, they're that old, and they need to be replaced.
I would entertain a motion if you would so do so.
Madam President, I move that the board approve the rebuild of the water pumps project for Atchison Middle School as presented in the amount of $141,145.
I know, that's hard to say, is it?
I know.
Yeah. And may I have a second?
For too
Thank you
much.
so much for the second. Yeah, it's a must-do. Any other discussion? Anybody? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you so much. It passes unanimously. Thank you for all your work.
Dang, David.
Are we talking about the foundation?
Just as an FYI.
Okay. Just so you know, we're trying to work this foundation stuff through our source local op, which is helping us immensely with the companies that we can find for this type of work. So we're trying to do it through that way.
Okay.
So do we know what type of repair is that? Is it just like a mud jacking type of situation?
Correct. What we're gonna do first, what I'm proposing that we do first is they recommended that we, send cameras down all of our drain lines and stuff to make sure they're not already damaged underground and maybe causing the problem. Also, that helps us that if, while they're doing the work, if they damage something, then we can prove that they did it, so that's part of that. Once we see that, then we'll be able to build a pretty good idea on what we're gonna have to do on that.
And at this point, is there any idea of what potentially we're looking at cost-wise, or is that?
I would have to say, I don't even know. Not on the foundation work. I think the camera work is gonna be around $4 something or $5,000 or something like that. I'd have to look.
This is the hallway, isn't it? Is this in a room?
So that's the classroom, and you can see the foundation separating there at the top on the
Sarah, is
left.
that your room?
No, that's, what would have been Dr. Heffley's
Oh,
room in the
okay.
middle.
Okay.
And then I think that, I don't know about the two end pictures, but I do know that like in my room, the floor actually slopes away from the rest of the building by the exit door. And in Mr. Stewart's room, and this has been happening since Mr. Lilly was here, that exit door doesn't open when it gets cold. And they've taken pieces off the bottom of the door, taken the weather strips off, and it still gets stuck. But that also happens on the exit doors to the parking lot.
Right.
So yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is possible or not, but I keep wondering if it's contributing to some of the plumbing issues that we have when things back up.
Well, that's very good likelihood, and that's why we need to send cameras down and survey all those.
Right.
When we started the football and baseball field, though, we did go ahead back then, when we had to do geotechnical surveys for those fields, we went ahead and did the geotech right in that area of that part of the high school. So we already had that done, so that helped us on some future costs too.
Thank you so much.
Okay?
Thanks, Dave.
You bet.
Next, we just have items for discussion, and it is the 27-28 calendar. So let's all really take a look at it this month.
This is your first read, very similar to the 26-27. Please send any questions you have. It follows a very similar format to what Bill and Jessica presented in the 26. All right.
Next is our executive session.
Okay, Madam President, I move that the board go into executive session to discuss matters relating to actions affecting a student that are protected under FERPA and are an exemption under COLA. The open meeting will resume in the boardroom at, until?
20, yeah.
Okay, about 20 minutes, which would be about 7:50. Oh, and I'm sorry, we
That's
need
okay.
to invite Lindsay Hanson and Laura Baxter.
Thank you so much. A second, please. And any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you so much. It does pass unanimously. See you back out here, 7:50.
The changes in the graduation requirements for the students as presented.
Second. Thank you for the second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you so much. It does pass unanimously. Next. Sally.
And president, there's something I'm supposed to read for board
Sally.
You want me? I
Yeah,
haven't pulled up. I
Stephanie
did,
showed
Sally, I
us.
haven't pulled up.
Yeah.
Madam President, I move that the board go into executive session to discuss employment recommendations and individual employees' employment performances pursuant to non-elected personnel exception under KOMA. And the open meeting will resume in the boardroom at 8:20, and do I need to invite?
Yes, we need to invite Nicole and Dimron and
Nicole Dimron and Laura. May I have a second on that, please? Thank you so much. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. See y'all 8:20. Somebody, Madam President, I move we go into executive session to discuss employment recommendations and individual employees' employment performance pursuant to non-elected personnel exception under KOMA. And the open meeting will resume in the board meeting at 8:25 PM. May I have a second? Thank you.
8:25.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Yeah, she'll be right,
Yeah,
that's 5 minutes from now.
minutes. Nomination, oh my God. You know what word I'm saying. Let's do that. I'm tired. We're good.
We're good.
Okay, so,
Okay, Madam President, I move to extend the superintendent's contract through the school year, 2028 through 2029.
second, thank you. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you so much. That passes unanimously. Next is our personnel listing as presented, if somebody wants to read that. Just,
Well, I can't even get it
go
out.
ahead.
Okay.
I just,
I make the motion to approve the personnel listing for retirement, resignations, 2025-26 employment recommendations as presented.
As
Thank you.
presented.
Went
Thank you
right out
so
my
much.
brain.
I'm telling
I'll
you.
second.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chowder, I appreciate that. Any discussion on any of that? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you so much.
I do have a question, just to make
Okay.
sure everybody knows. This particular item will be posted on the website tomorrow, is that right?
Yes, I.
Not the minutes, this particular item.
I sent it to A&EA last time, is what you guys told me to do.
Yes, and I will get it to Amanda Drury to prep.
But it's not posted so people can get on and read it?
It will be.
Okay,
It will be, yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
But Jeanette will send it to ADA, which is what we asked you, you did perfect.
Yeah,
And I sent it to Amanda Drury, so she updates the.
and so then she'll put it on.
Yeah.
Which I like that new
I
design.
haven't
That looks-
posted the personnel listing as it's on there, so.
Yeah,
if
you
that's
don't
what-
have to. No, we got it.
All right.
So our next board meeting, we have a work session on Monday, the 23rd. Of that, some open discussion topics will be just the flow of the board meeting. There was a discussion like how we do business here, as well as really diving into the metrics of the strategic plan. If there is any other board agenda items that you would like in that work session for us to get involved in, other than the flow of the meeting and the metrics for the strategic plan, if you would let me know, so we can add that to the agenda on there. And then our normal regularly scheduled meeting on Monday, March 9th, will be just our normal business meeting from that.
And any other news? If not, I'd entertain a motion for adjournment.
Make a motion that we adjourn.
And may I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you so much. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. These two are gonna have to be separated. I'm like, thank you so much. It does pass unanimously. Thank you, everyone.